This is Matt once again. We're about to another review. There's another paid request, this time for Lucas. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos or commentaries or topics, whatever, pretty much any type of video, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for a film called Big Ass Spider. It's a 2013 film that is a horror comedy creature feature. I believe the director's name is Mike Mendez. And this was a fun film. It's for free on YouTube. It's not a long film at all. This is the type of film that you would call if Sci-Fi Channel made a decent picture. Because the effects, some are better than others. It's about a giant spider, as the title says. Your lead guy, he's an exterminator, and again, there's some poor CG. I mean, the very beginning shows a sequence that's from much later in the film, and then goes back to this many hours before. Because it'll lead up to that moment at the beginning. A lot of movies do that type of motif, where they show something from near the end of the film, and then the rest of it is almost like a prequel unto itself to lead up to that. And it's the lead guy walking around this crowd, and you have this very digital dust that just looks pretty fake, low budget. But even with that said, I'm like, okay, they have this interesting choice of music, like a softer version of Where's My Mind, the song from Fight Club. Where is my mind? Where is my mind? And then he looks up, he sees this giant spider knocking rumble, causing rumble, knocking choppers down. And when it goes back to how it led up to that, the lead guy, Greg Grunberg, I thought did a pretty decent job. I thought he had sort of a likable charm, likable personality to him. He's an exterminator. He helps out Lin Shaye, who will later be in the the Insidious films. Well, she was around the Insidious films at this time. She's been in other stuff too, and it does have a kind of a quirky, fun sense of humor. It goes by a very fast pace. It's not a long film at all. It's like an hour and 13 minutes, give or take. What happens is that he goes to the hospital, and also at the hospital this body comes in where it died in weird circumstances, and this spider-like creature comes out, and exterminator's like, hey, I'll take care of this, just take care of my hospital bill. He teams up with this Jose, the security guard, which I'm sure some people would try to cancel and be like, oh my god, he's offensive. But I thought he did a good... Him and Grunberg, the lead, they played off each other fairly well. They got some chuckles and laughs out of me. Yeah, it's a spider, but then it's like, you know, maybe as big as a monkey. It's like maybe it was a spider monkey. I'm doing a shit job of explaining the humor, but I thought these two become a team to chase down this thing either through the hospital, it gets out, and then goes on a rampage because it escapes into the sewers, and then it escapes into the... It gets bigger and bigger as it goes along. The military gets involved. Ray Wise, who's been in a lot of stuff. He was in Wes Craven's Swamp Thing. He was in Jeepers Creepers 2. He was in this film called Digging Up the Marrow. I like Ray Wise, good actor. He shows up as a military guy. And pretty much it's the exterminator and Jose, the security guard, trying to go after the spider. And it's ambitious. I thought it was ambitious for the budget it had. Sometimes the spider effects don't look too bad. Other times it's like, yeah, the budget is shown. That's what I mean. It's kind of like if a Sci-Fi Channel was decent, was pretty decent, because it has a certain energy to it, likability to it. It has some interesting moments. Like there's a moment earlier where the exterminator he throws in a coin to try to get it out. Spider escapes. Well, later on, the spider remembers that, and when it's much bigger and it's in the sewer, you have a homeless person who lives in the sewer. He walks around and he sees this coin on this web. And I'm like, oh, okay, so the spider took that and is learning that to set that up as a trap. And when the guy grabs it, the spider gets him. And one of the more shocking gore gags, the way it was done creeped me out. I don't know if I want to give it away, though. I'll give away in the spoilers. But I would say something I'll just say that. And so it's getting bigger, it's cocooning bodies. Lloyd Kaufman gets killed, which I'm fine, not that I want him in real life for anything to happen, but I've just never been a Lloyd Kaufman fan. But hey, he gets killed all picked up. And there's a part where you really see the spider do its thing in broad daylight in a park, grabbing people with web, bringing them back, stabbing people. Again, yes, it's CG, but at least there was an infectious energy to it, and some effects were better than others, and it was easier to swallow because of all that. As I get a drink of water because my throat is closing up for some reason. I could tell the director wanted to bring a sense of fun and style despite the budget he had. There's a point where the military is shooting at this big spider, and so it does this slow motion jump, and the soldiers underneath trying to shoot at it. It's a stylistic shot. We see the spider and go on to the wooded area. And it leads to, as the lead says, our plan is stop the spider, save the city, kiss the girl. And he does get it to showcase himself being a hero. Like I think he worked very well with Jose, the security guard. I thought they had some energetic banter with each other. Again, you do wish that they had more of a budget to clean up some of the iffy effects. Like in the final confrontation with the spider, there's some really dodgy, really bad green screen. Like you just tell they're not, like it's Ray Greenberg on a green screen or some type of set, because like the dust is digital, the backgrounds look fake, and he's dodging the attached spider and has to shoot it with his bazooka, and you wish that it would have been more simpler. Like if that's the case, create an actual big spider, and yeah, it's not gonna move fast, but then maybe that's in that give or take scenario, maybe you have to lose that sense of mobility in order to have something a bit more real, practical, and it could be shot on a real street. I just think that would have been more satisfying if you have a portion of practical effects of the spider intermixed with, and so like when the guy shoots it, just blow it up naturally, like plenty of films back in the 80s and 90s, early 90s. But I mean, it has a charming goofiness with the two lead roles and what's going on. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and that charming goofiness helps sell how silly the whole premise is. I mean, when a film's called Big Ass Spider, it knows what it is, and it's not trying to be pretentious. And it was a fun time. It was a fun time. It was an enjoyable movie. And then the spoilers a little bit. What I was saying before, when the spider grabs the homeless guy, it spits this acid on the guy's face, and the camera sits there, and you see the face melt off. So like the skin disappears, and it's like muscle mass, and then blood, and you see like this disappears, so the eyeball more emerges. And just that just went, wow! I didn't see that coming, and so it would just surprise the shit out of me. And at the very least, it's not boring. It's not boring at all. It's a very short film. This is a very fast-paced film. Spider rocks a pretty decent body count because it's killing a lot of people in the park. Then our heroes get the spider away from the park, and in the midst of this military who fall into the wooded area, and then a lot of the military guys get killed. And I'm not going to go into this with plot holes. I mean, the title itself is a plot hole, so it's like I can let it go, just enjoy for the fun silliness of it all. And like I said, I appreciate that the director at least tried to bring some energy to it. He said, listen, this is not Shakespeare. This is not an epic movie. Don't need to be 2 hours. Boom, hour and 13 minutes. You're in there. You're done. Boom, had a good time. And like I said, I think sadly the big regret is that they did have a bigger budget. So again, some of the effects could be very, very much smoothed out and put some like real practical effects intermixed with the CG. I guess sometimes the spider, like the design, doesn't look too bad. Other times it's weaker. Like it was cool, like I said, cool to see Ray Wise in there. Lin Shaye, she only appears near the beginning of the film for a minute or two. I say Lloyd Kaufman he's the guy who ran Trauma Studios. He appears long enough to get killed, which is fine with me. And overall, yeah, had a fun time with the film. It's not a long review because it's a very straightforward escapism popcorn entertainment. Yeah, it's not gonna be up there with my favorite spider movies. My favorite's gonna be Arachnophobia for a variety of reasons. Funny, the way you utilize the real spiders to really up that creep factor. Impressive when you look back on it. And I love the battle between Jeff Daniels and this bigger spider in the wine cellar. I always thought that was exciting. He gets his little homemade flamethrower. That's always going to be the best. But I would say if you liked films like Eight-Legged Freaks had a bigger budget, imagine a lower budgeted version of Eight-Legged Freaks with David Arquette. I would say this, if you like Eight-Legged Freaks, you might like this film as well. This is kind of like a cousin of Eight-Legged Freaks. And probably make a good double feature. Eight-Legged Freaks is the bigger budget version. This is the smaller budget version. And a decent enough double feature. So yeah, if you like Eight-Legged Freaks, I think you'd be open to this film as well. And both films are entertaining for what they need to be. Which I don't know why. Anytime I think of Eight-Legged Freaks, I always think of the trailer. Because the trailer ends with like David Arquette shooting a shotgun. You eight-legged freaks! I don't know why. Just that trailer and the end of that trailer always stuck out in my mind. But I know in every fucking way. Direction-wise, I didn't have a lot of issues. Like I said, I like that the director utilized how he utilized the framing of the shots to show the scope of the destruction, what the spider's doing, whether it's on the buildings or whether it's tagging people in the park. It's not schizophrenic editing or quick cuts. He does show wide shots of it because it's a bit CGI, but still. Let's see, the pacing, it never gets slow to me. And the two leads are fun to watch. It's fun to watch. It's fun to see them converse with each other. And they play off each other fairly well. So, which I'm not going to give a lot of that away. It's a fun film that you watch for free on YouTube. Just type in Big Ass Spider 2013. I think Popcorn Flicks is the channel that uploaded it. It's worth a look. It's worth a watch. It's worth a look. like I said, you want to see a sci-fi channel? I don't know if this was on Sci-Fi Channel, but I'm just saying, compared to a lot of those Sci-Fi Channel films, like this is actually, if that was on there, I'm like, okay, this is a fun one. If they did more films like that, it'd be, that channel maybe would have worked out better for them. So with that said, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.